I need you to close your eyes. Think back long and hard on your experience in middle school. If you're in middle school, I guess like think about recess yesterday or something. Was it nice and pleasant? Do you remember caring teachers, kind friends, and an enthralling education? If you actually do, you are squarely in the 1%, and I recommend you buy a lottery ticket because nobody's experience was like that. Middle school sucked. High school was marginally better, but it still sucked. Children are brutal. They will tear your heart out without a second thought for an extra carton of milk at lunch. Friend groups are formed and killed on a daily basis. Everyone is constantly worried about how they look or how they act. But every cloud has its silver lining. Some friend groups lasted a little bit longer. Maybe someone actually shared a milk carton with you for no extra cost. Or maybe you found a teacher that actually cares about you and that you actually like and ends up making a positive difference on your life. Nobody understands these complexities better than the writing team behind Inside Out. And Inside Out 2. And Up, actually, if you didn't know that.
Oh, sure. We'll eat our dinner right after you eat this.
The first Inside Out movie came out in 2015, so the kids watching it then would be well into adulthood now, kind of like me. Let me give you a really quick recap of the first movie before we get into the new one. So there's this kid named Riley who's born. In this universe, everyone has like little people running around in their heads representing their emotions that control their every action. Starting with joy, Riley slowly gathers new emotions like sadness, fear, anger, and disgust. They all help Riley form new memories based on those emotions. The most important of these memories are called core memories. These core memories build personality islands in her mind that determine who she is. The movie really kicks off when Riley is forced to move away from everything she's ever loved. That sucks for Riley, I guess. Immediately, everything is terrible. The food is terrible, the apartment is gross, and their moving van with all their stuff got redirected to the wrong place. I don't understand how they messed up that badly. Like, I know it's not real, but do moving vans really do that? Because that's, anyway. To top it all off, on Riley's first day in her new school, she cries in front of the whole class. Up until that point, all of Riley's core memories had been based in joy, but sadness accidentally converts them all to sadness, and that's what makes Riley cry. Ultimately, a new core memory is created, but it's based on sadness, and Joy freaks out and she's trying to dispose of this core memory, but sadness is like, no, don't do that. They fight and they accidentally launch themselves and all of Riley's core memories out of the headquarters. Fear, anger, and disgust try their best to keep Riley's life on track, but without joy and sadness, they fail miserably. The rest of the movie follows joy and sadness trying to get back to headquarters, fear, anger, and disgust failing at running Riley's life while they're gone, and Riley trying to run away and go back to her old home. Ultimately, joy and sadness do make it back to headquarters, and they convince Riley to go share her emotions with her parents. This moment of them crying together forms the first happy, sad core memory, where it's two emotions. Wow, that's crazy. And the movie ends with everything looking up. As a grown man, I'll readily admit that this movie has almost brought me to tears on multiple occasions. What I love so much about this movie is that you can look at it in two different ways. On the one hand, it's a mecha anime, where little people live in everyone's heads and control them like giant robots. On the other, more accurate hand, it's a coming-of-age movie told in a way that helps kids better understand their emotions. This is the crazy thing to me. If you cut out every scene going on inside Riley's head, like if you only use the ones where she's doing stuff in the real world, you just are left with a fully realized short film about a kid growing up and dealing with hard stuff. And all the emotion stuff just helps to better understand the character alongside, providing entertainment value for kids. But they just do it so well. If you can't tell by now, I love this movie. I loved it when it came out and I love it now. So you can only imagine how excited I was when I heard they were doing a sequel. So how did it compare?
And we are just super jazzed to be here. Where can I put my stuff?
All right, I'm not gonna stand here and spoil the entire movie I'm trying to convince you to go see, but I do need to talk a little bit about it, so light spoilers ahead. I'm only gonna talk about stuff that's like in the trailers. So since the last movie, Riley has developed a sense of self. Her sense of self has been carefully cultivated by the emotions to be perfect and pristine. In the movie, they like touch it and it says things. This carefully cultivated sense of self says, I'm a good person. So Riley thinks she's a good person. That's great. The movie kicks off when one night a siren starts blaring and the entire headquarters gets destroyed and revamped. And it's all because of puberty. With this change also comes 4 new emotions: anxiety, envy, ennui, and embarrassment. Somebody felt like a French poet when they came up with ennui. That's crazy. I'm pretty sure it literally just means boredom. Hilarious puberty-related antics ensue, but Riley is also getting ready to start high school. So at her last middle school hockey game, the high school coach approaches her and some of her friends and invites them to a hockey camp going on over the summer. So the movie basically revolves around her being at this hockey camp. Riley's sense of self is brought into question as the original original emotions from the first movie are suppressed. Riley struggles with anxiety the whole movie to determine who she really is. That's just absolutely heartwarming. My heart is touched. So like I said, the first one was 2015, meaning Disney's had 9 years to get this movie right. And I've got to say, they absolutely knocked it out of the park. I kind of forgot, like, sequels are supposed to be better than the first movie, if you think about it. Like, the first one, if you do it right, you should take everything you did right and make it better for the sequel. But that's not how it is most of the time. But they actually did make the sequel better than the original. I don't know how they did it. In the first movie, a kid is upset about moving away from home and her imaginary best friend dies. In the sequel, an up-and-coming high schooler struggles with severe anxiety and all of the changes that come with growing up in a very concise, very well-told manner. And I've got to say, from everything I've seen, the way anxiety is depicted in this movie is extremely accurate and told in a very good way for kids to understand. And again, if you cut out every scene except for the last one, you're left with a fully realized short film about what it's like to grow up as a teenage girl in high school, with all the good and all the bad that comes with that.
You just aren't what she needs anymore, Joy.
How dare you, madam?
Well, there you have it. Not only was the movie accurate, it was also genuinely moving. Are you curious as to why? Because I really need to tell you, but it's going to spoil a pretty big part of the movie. So if you don't want to see that, skip to here. Basically, the new and old emotions are completely unable to coexist. Anxiety ends up locking the old emotions away. Riley's sense of self is ejected from headquarters as well. So anxiety gets to work making a new sense of self for Riley, one based solely on anxiety. And honestly, for a while, it actually works out pretty well. I mean, Riley's relationship with her friends kind of wavers, and she's clearly a little bit shameful about the actions she's taking, but she's getting everything she wanted. She's being a better hockey player, making new friends. It's going all right, honestly. That is, until Riley's new anxiety-based sense of self is developed. And like I said, when they touch it in the movie, it makes like a declaration about itself, like the sense of self. And this anxiety-based sense of self says, I'm not good enough. And all of the characters are like shocked because, you know, it's working out pretty well so far. But they realize that it's only working out because she's not confident in herself anymore. She doesn't think she's good enough, so she's striving for greatness, but only because she doesn't think that she's great already. When I heard that line in the movie, I genuinely felt something. Here we are, the audience, the characters, everyone, at the deepest and most protected part of Riley's mind, hearing the most purely honest truth about who she believes herself to be. And that person is someone who will never be good enough. For a kid's movie, that's like really well thought out. Immediately following this, Riley is set to play in a very important hockey game that she thinks is going to determine a lot about her future. Equipped with her new sense of self, she's determined to be the best player on the field because she doesn't think she's good enough. Controlled by anxiety, Riley unintentionally injures one of her own teammates during the scrimmage, and she's sent to the penalty box. Because of this, anxiety gets like way crazy out of control, messing with like every button on the control panel. And in the real world, Riley suffers a, by all accounts, upsettingly accurate panic attack. Knowing the character as deeply as we do, this moment honestly hits harder than any moment in any movie I've seen to date, because the whole franchise is just about knowing Riley better than anyone could possibly know her. And yeah, everything works out eventually. It's a kid's movie, like it has to work out. But I desperately needed to give you a sense of how accurate anxiety was portrayed in this movie, because that's what really sold it to me. What really told me this is a movie worth seeing.
We really need your help.
What's their problem? Guys.
All right, I really quickly want to mention the title of this video. I am boldly staking my claim that Disney has been a massive flop recently. The only movies worth mentioning have been remakes, reboots, or rebrands, with Encanto being the only new Disney property worth mentioning. Thank you, Lin-Manuel Miranda.
You shouldn't even talk. And what about Boston?
And that came out in 2021, so it's been a while. If there's even a fraction of a chance that someone at Disney is watching this, I need you to hear what I'm about to say. Wish sucked. Elemental was very underwhelming, but I think I speak for the entire movie watching community when I say we will always respect those movies way more than these constant remakes. And no, Inside Out 2 was technically not an original movie, it was a sequel. But to be honest, if endless sequels is what it takes for Disney to make good movies, just keep doing that. I just want good movies, please. Please go watch this movie. I was very pleasantly surprised with the enjoyability and faithfulness to Inside Out's core message. Maybe I'm a little too emotional, but these movies really hit me in the feels. I don't know why. And if you're anything like me, I think these movies will strike a chord with you too. So thank you for watching.